Good morning, geometry students. I hope that you're starting your Wednesday off well. We have a project to do. I hope that you got your orange and your pieces of paper and probably some paper towel too. A knife, you'll need a knife perhaps for cutting off the peel of the orange, and a pencil. So if you don't have those things yet, please go and get them, and we're going to start with our little experiment. But first, before that, we're going to say a prayer. So let's do that. Father in heaven, I really pray that you would help my students to learn this well, to focus and master this material, and you strengthen me and help me to be the very best teacher I can be right now and use words that will give them the best understanding. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to take your orange and put it on the blank piece of paper with the pencil. I want you to stand above it, and you need to have the pencil touching the outer side of the orange. Now hopefully you have as close to a perfect sphere as possible, but it doesn't have to be, so just close. Okay, so then you take your pencil and you hold it next to the outside of the orange all the way around like this, holding the orange in place. Well, that's not great, but it's approximately a circle, okay? And I want you to do that 4 times like this. It's okay if you make a mistake, you can fix it like I just made one. All right, so you're gonna end up with 4 circles on your paper with your orange, and it will look like this. All right, so you have your 4 circles, they're approximate, and then I want you to take your orange and peel it. Now I'm gonna give you a little hint from my grandmother, something that she taught me many years ago, was that you take your orange with a knife and you cut sections, you make cuts all the way around. And then you do one big cut all the way around in the horizontal direction like this, so that you create corners for pulling off the peel, okay? So you go ahead and you peel this and you put it into the 4 circles, okay? It's not gonna be exact, and it might make a little mess like you can see me there. And if they don't fit exactly with your pieces, you can break them up. That's okay. And try to fit them into the 4 circles. Okay, so why don't you pause the video right now and try to do that, and we'll come back in just a moment. All right, now I hope that you were able to put your orange peels out on the paper, and if you were, I already did this one. I feel like I'm a cooking show a little bit. You know how they pull the dish out of the oven and it's all done, you're like, wait a minute, that was done 2 hours ago. I actually wouldn't want to eat that, but anyway, you know how they are. So here is another orange that I peeled already. So your peel should look like this, okay? And the reason why we do this is to just have a visual illustration of what the formula is for the surface area of a sphere, because we took the outside layer off of this spherical item, right, or thing, object, and we put it here, okay? So now we're going to transfer over to our notes and talk about what the formula is for the volume of the surface area of a sphere. I was watching my soda get knocked over, so I got a little distracted there. Okay, so let's keep going. You can have your orange next to you while you are eating, while you're doing this. So the formula of the surface area of a sphere is actually, I'm going to change colors. How about red? And it's going to, S equals 4 pi r squared. Okay, so you can see where it comes from. Your circle, you've got your circle formula there, and you have 4 of them. Okay? And that's approximately how it works. Okay? If you have a sphere and you make a circle like that. 4 circles will basically wrap around the outside of a 3D circle, which is what a sphere is, to create our surface area. All right, so in light of that, let's do some surface area problems. I already made pictures here, so you can pause the video and go ahead and copy that, but I'm going to keep going. Find the surface area of a sphere. So we have our formula, okay, and all we have to do, the radius is 8 meters, so I'm just going to put 8 into the formula. It's pretty easy. So I have 4 pi and then 64. And that ends up being 256 pi. 4 times 64 there. And when I work that out, I get 804.25 meters squared. Now that's important. We're going back to surface area for the first part of this lesson. So it's area, it's not volume. Okay, it's 2D, like wrapping up a gift. It's not 3D, which would be the inside of a box. Okay, so that's number 1. Let's do number 2. The surface area of a sphere is given right here. What is the diameter? So we're going to solve for D. Okay, well I don't have D. Let's look at my formula. Okay, I'm going to put 182 pi in for S this time. I'm given the whole surface area. And I want to solve, what can I solve for here? Well, if I find the radius, that will help me find the diameter. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by 4 pi on both sides. These cancel. And if I work that out, the pi's will just cancel. If I divide 182.25 by 4, I get 45.56. Okay? Equals r squared. So now I'm going to take the square root and I get 6.75. That is r. Okay? But the question is, what is the diameter? I solved for the radius. So the diameter is 2 radius, right? So the diameter is going to be 2 times 6.75, which works out to be 13.5. And this was centimeters, okay? And this was centimeters squared here. Okay, so that's number 2. And I would like you to go ahead and do these 2 problems. Find the surface area of the sphere and for number 1, and for number 2, the surface area is given, so you need to find the radius this time. So go ahead and pause the video and enjoy your orange, and we'll come back in just a couple of minutes. All right, so here we have the diameter is 40, and my surface area is 4 pi r squared. Do I have the radius? No. If the diameter is 40, then the radius is 20, so be careful with that, okay? So to get my surface area, I'm going to have 4 pi times 20 squared. And 20 times 4 is 80, so I get I have to square it first, so that's 4 pi times 400, which is 1600 pi. And if I work that out, I end up with a surface area of 5,026.55 feet squared. All right, now number 2, the surface area of a sphere. So we're given that, and I know my formula right here. And I'm going to put 30 pi in here, and I want to solve for the radius. Okay, so I'm going to divide by 4 pi, and the pi's will cancel, And 30 divided by 4, I believe, is 7.5. Let me just check that real quick. Yes. So I get 7.5 equals the radius squared. And I take the square root to get the radius, and that's 2.74. And that's what I was trying to find, not the diameter this time. So the radius is going to be 2.74 meters. It's a length, it's just one dimension. Okay, now we've covered the surface area of a sphere, and we want to talk for a few minutes about the volume of a sphere. So this whole lesson is about the sphere, okay? And my formula for the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed, okay? That is the formula. And you can write down the next one and pause the video if you like. I already wrote it down. A soccer ball has a diameter of 9 inches. Find its volume. Okay, so we're just going to use the formula that we have. And now the diameter, be careful, is 9. What's in the formula? The radius. So I have to cut that in half, right? Because if I had a soccer ball, all the way across is 9. See how I put the 9 right under the middle? So this part, the radius, is 4.5. So I'm going to write 4/3 pi and 4.5 cubed. All right, now I'll just tell you that 4.5 multiplied by itself 3 times is 91.125, okay? Now, if I want to put this in the calculator, I'm going to put pi, which is 3.14, and I've got 4/3. I'll just write it out here for a minute to help you. Whoops. All right, so I'm going to multiply these two together, then I'm going to multiply by 4, and then I'll divide by 3. Or you could just put 4 divided by 3 into the calculator and then multiply across. Actually, left to right will give you the most accurate answer, but it all works out to be the same, and it is 381.5 inches cubed. That is, it's hard to believe inside of a soccer ball there would be that many inches cubed, huh? Interesting idea. All right, number 5. Why don't you go ahead and pause the video and draw this picture. I have a composite solid, so that means composite is more than one. I've got a combination of 2 shapes put together. Okay, so go ahead and do that. All right, so I'm going to figure this out, and what this is actually, I hope your drawing's better than mine, it is a cylinder minus half of a sphere. Okay, so that's what I need to figure out. So I have to do the cylinder and I have to do the sphere. Okay, so I'm just going to draw the cylinder just to keep it straight. And I'm told, oh, I didn't write this here. This is 2 also, so this is 2 down here. All right, so the volume of the cylinder is pi r squared h. So I've got a bunch of 2's to put in. I'm going to square the radius and then multiply by the height. So 2 squared is 4 times 2 is 8. So I'm just going to leave it at 8 pi for now. Okay, and then the next thing is the sphere. Now in this picture I have half. So I have half a sphere. So I have to use half of my formula. So I've got 1/2 times 4/3 pi r cubed. Okay? So let's put that in. So I have half times 4/3 pi. Now r cubed, I'm going to put here I know this from looking up here, look at here, that diameter is, or that radius there is 2, so this fits exactly inside, so my radius of the sphere is also 2. So I'm going to put 2 in. Okay, and I'm running out of space here, so I'll just tell you that that works out to be 16 over 3 pi, okay? That's what it is. All right, so then my volume is going to be 8 pi minus 16 over 3 pi, okay? And I need to have the same denominator, so I have a 3 here. I want to have a 3 under the 8. So I'm going to change 8 to 24 over 3 pi minus 16 over 3 pi. And I end up with 8/3 pi. And on a calculator, if I take 8, divide by 3, and multiply by 3.14, I'll get approximately 8.38. And this is inches. Let's see, no, it is millimeters cubed. We're doing volume now, so it's millimeters cubed, okay? All right, if you're having trouble with this here, I have a little room. Let's put this in here. So we've got 1/2 4/3 pi, 2 cubed is 8. So I've got 1/2, and if I multiply here, I have 32 over 3 pi. Do you see how that works out? So then this will become 32 over 6 pi, and that reduces to 16 over 3. Okay? Just wanted to add that in case anybody was confused. All right, so I want you to try these OYOs. You can go ahead and pause the video. Number 1, the radius of a sphere is 5 yards. Find the volume. And I'm going to move that up a little so you can see this whole picture. This is a composite. Find the volume of the picture. So we have this piece and this piece. Okay? All right, so go ahead and write that down, and we will go over it in just a moment. Okay, so my formula is volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. And so I'm going to put the radius in of 5. So I've got 4/3 pi, and I'm just going to put 5 in. So that's 4/3 pi times 125. All right, and that would be 600 over 3 pi, and that works out to be, I can't read that on my paper, I'm going to check it. 600 divided by 3 times 3.14, and I get about, I get 628. Is that right? Okay, so this is going to be yards cubed. Oh, this is 500 here. I didn't think that was quite right. This is 500. So I'm glad I checked it. I need you guys here with me. Okay, 500 divided by 3 times 3.14, and I get 523.3. Okay? All right, let's do this one. Find the volume of the figure. So I'm going to have a half of I'll draw that better, half of a sphere, and I'm going to have my my cone there. So this is going to be 1/2 of the sphere. 4 pi r cubed, okay? And I'm told that the radius is 1. So I've got 1/2, then 4/3 pi, and then I'm just going to cube 1, which is 1. So I end up with 1/2 times 4/3 times pi, because the 1's just disappear. So I have 4/6 pi, and if I work that out, I get 4 divided by 6 times 3.14, and I get 2.09. All right, now let's do this one here. The volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. Okay, so I'm going to have 1/3 pi, and the radius is 1, the same, and the height is 5. So I end up with the 1 just disappears, and 5 times 1/3 is 5/3 pi, and when I work that out, 5 divided by 3 times 3.14, and that is 523. So now I have to add these two together, and I end up with 732. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed our lesson today and that you understand it well, and you'll never forget it. And have a great Wednesday. See you later. Bye.